Hello everyone. So I'm changing gears and trying to video on electrical, which normally I would not do. We just moved into a house which has a three-prong, let's see here if that will show, three-prong electrical plug, okay? And this house was built before '99, which is when the electrical codes changed and and new houses have to have a four-prong, which would typically fit something like this. But so now what I've read and researched is that I guess when you get a new dryer, they don't even come with cords. So this is kind of a standard procedure to some degree of installing cords to dryers. So anyways, so I went to Home Depot and I got one of these, which will fit my plug. Okay, here's the package. Let's see here. Here's what I purchased. Okay. And the main thing is that the plug lines up, so you know the plug on the new one matches your wall. So basically, there's a bunch of videos online, well not a whole bunch, but I found a really good article by an electrician, which I've put the link to below. And so basically, from what I've understood, and basically what I understand is on this new wire cord, what I read is that the center cord is always, I believe, your ground. Let's see here. Focus. Okay, so the center, even though they're not color coded, like here, from what I understand, they go just like this. Okay, so the two outside ones go, and those are somewhat interchangeable from what I read. And you can reference the article that I mentioned, and then the center always goes to the center. Okay, so that's just where that goes. Now, the difference with the three-prong and the four-prong plugs, the fourth wire is for a ground, which is this green one here. Okay, so some people have said, the two videos I saw, they said that they didn't mention, you know, the lack of their three-wire, three-prong plug not having a ground. The article by the electrician that's been doing this for over 20 years said it would behoove you for safety purposes to make yourself create a ground on the three-prong plug for safety. And so some people say it's not necessary, but his argument makes sense, and I would rather not be electrocuted by my dryer, so I'm going to finagle something. So he said to get, I think it was 10 gauge, a piece of 10 gauge wire, and from what I understand, you will take it from this terminal and then wrap it up here. So now, since he recommended saving this for the four-prong cable that you remove, saving it for future use in case you move again and you have a newer plug, well, I already went to Home Depot. I don't feel like going back. And so, but I might need to. Anyways, so he said you can take a piece of this green wire off the old plug, which is what this is here, and you can use that to create your ground, but it would ruin this plug, of course. Excuse me. So, and of course you're going to need another, but I can, okay, so let me see what I do here, but basically I'm going to go ahead and remove these screws. One video did point out either use a magnetic nut driver or pull or kind of cup underneath when you're unscrewing these screws, because otherwise they will fall down into the abyss and you'll have to take the whole panel off, and forget that. Okay, so basically what you'll do though is, of course, I mean, people say don't plug it in, but obviously it can't be plugged in when you start this project, because otherwise why would you need to do this? They did say to turn off the breaker though when you go to turn, initially plug it back in. So anyways, to start with though, you take the little metal panel off. There was two screws holding this together, the little cover, and then you'll slowly remove these things. And then this is attached with the screw that holds on that back cover plate. So that's what I'm going to go to. So hold tight. Okay, so I've removed all these wires, and in order to pull this plug out, you have to loosen this little clamp, which kind of holds it secure, and you do want to keep the, you know, when you reinstall the wire, you want that to be tight again. But you loosen it in order to remove the old plug. Now I'm going to have to consult a professional on this part, because I've got this white wire here that goes back, and it connects to, I don't know, wires back here, which you can't really see, but behind that there's some wires, and I'm not sure. I don't think that's a ground, but maybe this is grounding something for, I don't know, the controls up top, I'm guessing. but it was attached here, so I'm gonna put that back where it was, but that is a separate wire than what was on this plug here. So these 4 wires here, the black, the green, the red, and the white, those are all attached to this plug here, and I'm gonna go ahead and take those out. So let's see. Let's see here. Okay. Let me just pull it. Okay. And you can actually just take this out, but I was being stubborn, but you probably could just take that out. Anyways, so here's the cord. So after I consult someone about that white wire, that one, I'm going to go ahead and cut this green wire, and then I'm going to take one of these connectors off the other one to make myself a grounding wire, which will go from here to the middle one. Okay. So, and also notice the 2 outside ones are gold, and then this is silver. So remember, these 2 are interchangeable on that on the 3 cord. Okay. But the center always goes center to silver, okay? All right, hold tight. Okay, I have confirmation that I will just reattach this white cable, white wire, the way it was. So whatever it was doing, it's not a ground, but it needs to just be reattached where it was. So I'm going to go ahead and take the green wire off of this. I've stripped it down. I don't know what it is, probably about 6 inches, about 6 inches or so. And you can actually, you don't necessarily need one of those little connectors at the end. It is just a ground. So I'm going to use the green wire. I don't believe it really matters which wire color you use if you're tearing up your old plug. But the guy in the article recommended green. So we're going to use green. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And I'm going to go ahead and get this set up. So stand by. As far as cutting wire, a pair of dikes works real good. I had a pair of really sad old wire cutters, but they're not working, so because the blade is worn out. But anyway, so I'm going to use this. Let's see if I would like a demonstration. You can already see where I've kind of butchered that. Let me see if I can focus. Focus. Okay. And I mean, this is pretty basic, but people like visuals. I like visuals. Boop, and that's it. So now you'll go ahead, you'll strip the end of this, okay? If you've never stripped a wire, you're gonna, you've got these wire cutters, and you put this in here and then strip it. So, or you can take a razor blade, okay, and just cut very lightly around the edge of this, go down probably about that far, about maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and you want a nice piece of wire sticking out, okay? So hold on. So after you've stripped your wire, this is what it should look like, okay? And you really do what you can not to damage any of those wires there, okay, on the outside. You don't want to lose any of those connections. So now I'm just going to curve it and then make it so it can attach to the screw and attach to the terminal. So if you have another little wire connector, you can use that, but I know that it can just hook onto the screw and be screwed onto that center terminal just fine. So I'm just going to do that, okay? And remember, okay, we're to the electricity part, okay? So I've got the new cables sticking here. I'm about to attach them. Make sure this is not plugged in, okay? Because this is now the plug that will fit your wall plug, your outlet. Do not have that plugged in right now, okay? Don't do that. Okay, so probably for my better judgment, I went ahead and just snipped off one of these wire connectors and went to my local Ace Hardware store, not promoting them, just saying that was the closest store. And I got my own wire connector because normally if you've ever done anything with wire, if it's, you know, a fraction of this size of wire, if it'll focus, you can easily twist it and wrap it around a terminal. However, this is fat enough that I didn't want to screw it up, so I'm just going to go ahead and use a wire terminal connector. And that will just ensure a good solid connection. And all you have to do with these is, yes, you stick it in there. Well, you can tell I don't do YouTube videos because I'm not equipped. But basically, this is the inside of it. It's got a little metal sleeve inside this wire connector. Okay, let's see. Mother of pearl, come on. Okay, so it's a little metal sleeve. and you'll basically stick it in here, just so maybe it's sticking out the top, and then you'll crimp this part with your, this is where a real set of wire stripping pliers will come in handy, because you don't want to just use regular pliers. Some things are just better to be used, you know, for the purpose they're made. So these are crappy and they won't strip wire. However, they will crimp little things here. So let's see. I think I can actually do this. So, okay. All right. So that's in place, and ooh, it's going to take a little effort here. More than my one hand can do. But basically, you're going to clamp down on that. But I need two hands, so hold on. Okay, so I'll be perfectly honest. This took quite a bit of effort to squeeze that down, probably because it's such a big wire. Focus. There we go. So I actually used some big fat pliers, and that still wasn't enough. So I put it on the floor of the garage and hammered it down. So unconventional, but effective. So giving a good tug here. It's on there solid, okay? So I'm pulling, and I may be female, but I'm not totally weak. So that's on there. That's good. I think for good measure, just because there is a little bit of wire exposed here, I'm going to put some electrical tape just to cover that. You know, just wrap that around there. But I'm going to go ahead and hook everything up. So that's, you know, that's where we're at for now. Okay, so I've installed the 3 main wires, okay? So remember, this is the white wire that already existed and was connected to the center, so I left it connected. This is my new fancy green grounding wire, which will go right up here when I attach that back cover on there. And then my middle cord right here, okay, that's going to the center terminal, is the center cord, you know, on this cord. So numerous things I read pretty much stated, and I'll say it again, is that the center one is just always in the center, and then these two are interchangeable. So there's no like back and forth. It can, you know, there's no right or wrong as far as the outside ones. Just as long as they're on the outside, you're good. And then the center one in the center. So even though they're not colored, keep the two outside gray wires on the outside gold terminals, okay? And then put that on there. One thing I will mention is that I think it was worth it to go and get this adapter, or this little, you know, the connector, because that wire being so fat, I think I mentioned a second ago, to hook it onto this screw, it's going to be way too tight. So it's better just get that, you know, 65 cents. Probably wouldn't cost you much more at Lowe's or Home Depot, but this is definitely worth it. So they sell backs of them, but if you don't do a lot of electrical work, which I don't, and I plan to make this pretty much the extent of what I do, you can buy one for under $1. So continuing on. Okay, so the last thing I just did before I'm going to put this back panel on is to tighten these down. So this little bracket here keeps these wires, this plug cord, secure. So, you know, if this wasn't here, it would be loose and it would be causing strain on these little terminal cable connectors. And you don't want that, okay? So you don't have to be an electrician to understand that. So you just don't want unnecessary strain being placed on these terminal connectors. So just give it some extra slack. I snugged this down, and then I pushed on here just a little bit to put just a little bit extra slack back there, just to give it just that much more room. So once you finally tighten these 2 screws down, there's 2 screws, okay, give it a little tug. You can tell it's not moving, okay? Well, I don't know if you can tell because the camera's moving, but it's not moving, okay? So it's secure, so I've tightened those down. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach, let's see here. This is the screw, bolt, whatever. Here's my panel cover, okay? So this, how did that go? Okay, I'll get back to you. Okay, so if you're like me, I took a picture of the wiring beforehand, but I didn't actually take a picture of this before I took it off. So just line stuff up. So obviously there's a screw that goes there that's gonna fit over. And then what tipped me off, let me set my screw down. this wire is going to sit right like that, okay? And there's kind of like an indentation for that to happen. And then, so on this little piece here, there's that little flange, and there's a little slat there. So that's going to go like that. That wire, I'll situate that wire so it connects up there by the screw, and then the other screw will go in there. So that's what we're going to do. So if you didn't take a picture ahead of time, this is a good reminder to do so, but even if you didn't, you can figure it out. Okay, so what I did, and this is just my preference, suggestions, take it for what it is. I started the bolt on here, the screw, whatever. I started that with the little wire connector first, and then I went ahead and put this panel on, and then started that. So, I don't know what size that is. This, let's see here. This here is an 8mm little socket. So I'm guessing that's probably like a 6, maybe between a 4 and a 6. I didn't have my little socket set, so I used, against better judgment, well, not necessarily, but I used my Leatherman, okay, because it has a nice wide fat head as far as pliers go to grip onto that. However, I would always recommend, and I'm sure many people will agree, use the sockets if you have them, because it just prevents any stripping, potential stripping on those screws. But like I said, I didn't feel like going out to my truck to get my socket set, but I did have that one handy for the 8mm. So anyway, so I'm going to tighten it down and turn off the breaker, and then I'm going to consult my instructions. I believe I plug in the dryer and then flip the breaker again. So stand by. Okay, so again, since this is my first electrical project and probably my last, I got nervous and I just wanted to like triple check this thing, maybe quadruple check at this point, okay? And make sure everything was as it should be, okay? So again, I've got my middle wire, okay, coming from my cord, and you can look down and see that, okay, that is the middle cord, okay, middle wire, going to the center silver one, which is neutral. This is the white cord that came from the electrical panel that it was already on the center one, so we'll just put it back on there. And then my do-it-yourself, as per the article attached below, my grounding wire, okay, which I wrapped with some electrical tape. And then there was just a little bit of wire peeking out the top of that area I clamped down. And I just don't like exposed wire, so I just put a little piece of electrical tape over the top of that, just to be, you know, why not, you know, safety. So, and then you've got your outside wires, which as long as the outside ones are on the outside terminals to either flip-flop, either way, because they're not color-coded, you're good. So everything is secure, okay? This is secure. Oops. So I'm going to go ahead and put that panel back on. After reattaching this can just go ahead and be attached before you put the cover back on, at least on this model. This is a, what is this? An Estate by Whirlpool collection, okay? If you really want to know, which I don't think it really matters, but just for reference, here's my model number and stuff, okay? So, but again, based on what I've researched, this is pretty cut and dry regardless of what kind of dryer you have. So I think I'm pretty good here. So on to the next step of the real, you know, let's find out, and hopefully I won't have to make a claim on my renter's policy, right? Okay, so in case you're looking at your fuse box and you're not really familiar with this part because you're not an electrician, just like me. So at the very top, number 1 is your dryer. That's what it says. Well, as much as these have been scratched out, I'm not really sure. So what I'm going to do, since the bottom half here, let's see here, like these ones and stuff. So the top half is basically kitchen, all that kitchen stuff, stove, dining room. So that's the area of the house I'm in. All our bathrooms and stuff are in the back half of the house. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip all the breakers for the front half of the house off, because I just want to be sure. You know, if I'm going through all the trouble to go ahead and turn off the breaker for the dryer, I don't want to make the mistake of not turning off the right one because it was mislabeled. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these off. Let's see, so that was the other way. I already flipped that off. That should be what is the dryer. And then off. Okay. So, we're gonna call that good. So let's see if there's some stuff off in the kitchen. Okay, power's off in the kitchen. Ooh, I'm super nervous. Okay. But I feel good about what I did, you know? Okay. So, let me turn the flashlight on. Switch on. Okay, here's my plug. Okay. Good Lord, I hope I'm not electrocuted. Shit. Okay, so here's that. Here we go. Okay, so that's gonna flip around and work. Okay, feel good about this. Okay. Okay, fits. Halfway there. Let's go see. Okay, flip everything back on. Good Lord. Okay, everything's back how it was. Really? Okay, we'll deal with that later. Okay, lights are back on. Proof is in the pudding here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the dryer hose isn't on yet. Whatever. Of course, I forgot to buy one at Home Depot. So let's see. Holy shit. Let's see here. Okay. Oh-de-doo-de-doo. Okay. Dryer has power. I hear it clicking. Okay, let's see. It works. No sparks or electricity coming out. I think we're groovy. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what I'm going to do before I publish this video, so if you actually are watching this on YouTube, you will know it has been checked. I'm going to post my video to an electrical forum for some professionals to watch it and check it out and make sure what I've done is legitimately correct for a do-it-yourself, but safe procedure. And then I'm also going to send a copy to the guy whose article I've pasted below because, like I said, the two videos I came across for changing a 4-plug cord to a 3-plug cord, which is what I've done, they did not mention making that extra ground wire. And I don't want to be shocked while I'm doing laundry. So I think that's really significant, and I think that's really important. And so I really feel strongly about this video and the fact for safety and not wanting to burn your house down or electrocute yourself. So nothing against their video. Their videos were good, but like I said, I just hope that this is helpful and it passes the test for everything. So, all right, thank you, and talk to you later. Bye. Last final note. Focus. I am going to save my 4-prong cord because even though I've hacked it, depending on how far away the outlet is, if I need it again, I could possibly trim these down and just put new connectors on the ends of them. So I'm going to save it just because, or maybe I might just need the wire. So the gray cord I bought for the 3 prongs was, I think 20 bucks just because they didn't have a big selection. I saw them online for like 10 bucks. So really for the cost of the plug, I'm not rich, but spending 10 to 20 bucks for a new plug, I'm not going to lose sleep over that if I had to buy a 4-prong one. And so I don't know. That's just food for thought. Okay, that's all I have. Bye.